Let's take a moment and talk about something that people hate to talk about. Let's talk about definition of done. So to many people, definition of done means different things. So picture this. It's 3:47 p.m. on a Friday. The sprint review just ended and someone casually drops, "So, can we release this?" Cue the chaos orchestra. Half the team says, "Sure, go for it, it's done." The other half mutters something about, we have missing test cases or security scans, or there's one tiny config that no one documented. Congratulations, guys. You just entered the gray zone of doom, or the gray zone of done, if you will. In that zone is where trust, predictability, and sanity all go to die. After one too many release debates and a few emotional retros, I realized the problem wasn't with the process. The problem was actually with the definition. Done meant 10 different things to 10 different people to 10 different teams. Developers might say, the code's merged, it's done. QA might say, well, the test passed. A person may say, the feature shipped. Ops might say, the logs don't scream anything terrible, we're good to go. If you're a product developer, you might say, I have implemented all of the different components and pieces to build the physical product. So people come around and build checklists. Now, I want to be careful because typically I'm not a fan of checklists. However, sometimes checklists can work as a really great template that you can use that applies to different things that you're doing so that you can make sure you at least have a starting point to have the conversation. And that's where I want to take you. So if I were asked to create a definition of done checklist, now I've done it for several off-the-shelf products or for physical products. And that's where you're saying, do all the buttons work? Are all the components here? Are we ready for testing? Are we ready for the training group to take on their piece? Are we ready for support to start taking calls if necessary? The point I'm trying to make is that checklist is generally pretty easy. But if I were doing the same checklist for something technical, I might include things like code complete and peer reviewed, automated tests written and passing, acceptance criteria is met and validated, security and performance checks run, documentation has been updated, feature toggled and deployed safely, stakeholders have signed off on all changes, and there are no unresolved critical bugs. These type things are important for technology from a technology perspective, and they give us a little bit of a lay of the land of how we might do things. But the clear emphasis here is that definition of done is not a one size fits all model. Most people don't look good in spandex anyway. This is just an opportunity for us to have a template that we can leverage. And once we have this template, we can adjust and pivot and take things out and add things in as needed, but it gives everyone a starting point. This stops done from being an opinion and turns it into actual evidence, where everyone starts with the same checklist, the debates fade, accountability thrives, and are we done becomes, let's give the list a once over real quick. Let's give it a cursory overview to see if we really are done or if we're approaching done and how close we are to meeting that definition. Many people disregard these and say, well, the checklist is only going to slow us down. That's not necessarily true either. The checklist is designed to help free you from work, and it gives the team the confidence to release without fear that the leadership will have something bigger to say, that they'll start building trust and stop micromanaging the team. So the biggest thing you can do, the most important piece, is not to copy and paste those items that I just spewed off to you. Use that as a mirror to look at what you're doing and compare it to what I said. And gather your team and ask, what's burned us before? What are the things that we want to make sure never, ever, ever burn us again? How do we get to that moment where we say, okay, every recurring fire deserves its own checkbox. Let's make sure we're not going to fall into that trap again. Because you want to make sure that you understand that the definition of done is less about compliance and more about memory. It's a record of hard-won lessons that you refuse to repeat. So if you think about anything from hidden factory to Little's Law and making sure that you're building things and finishing what you started and optimizing your time, limiting work in progress, building the pieces that are necessary, as long as your definition of done has a laser focus on achieving the correct outcome, and it's not designed just to be a pile of output that's driven data that someone comes over here and types, then you're going to end up with something that's successful. If you focus heavily on output and delivery and ignore initiation and discovery, you're going to wind up with something that is output focused instead of outcome focused. and your definition of done is going to be either A, too rigid, or B, it's just not even going to be close because all you focused on is optimizing delivery. So my advice to all of you when it comes to a definition of done, do have a template, but don't marry it. Understand that there are going to be changes and understand that the changes are likely going to impact the team and the organization in a positive way. That's going to do it. I hope that you enjoyed this episode. If you have a topic you want us to discuss, learn more at AgileDad.com. We'd love to hear from you. And as always, we encourage you to stay healthy, stay well, and stay agile, my friends. Until next time, do take care. Bye now.